Welcome back to another episode of Offbeat Adventures. We're standing here on the grade of the former Grand Trunk Pacific Railway and later Canadian National Railway's Graham Subdivision. We are west of the city of Thunder Bay in Kaministiquia, Ontario. We are standing just on the north side of Highway 102. You can hear some traffic coming up here. It's a very busy highway. Lots of transport traffic. It is a secondary route, but it is a preferred route for the trucks because it cuts off part of the city of Thunder Bay when you're driving east to west and vice versa. So we're here on the grade. The grade continues on the south side of the road. I'm going to zoom in here with my camera so you can see it a little bit better. Obviously there was some sort of embankment here. The grade is, you can see, is much higher than where the roadway is today, and so this would have all been removed when they built the highway through this area. So I think we're up on the grade here. It's a little bit tricky to tell because there's a curve in the railway line right here, and again, I think I'm on the grade. There is sort of a little bit of a humped up area over there, but as you're going to see, there's a bit of a cut on this side and a bit of a cut on this side, so I think this is where the grade would have come through. I think that's a little bit too sharp to make that curve. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working our way. It's a little bit of a short hike. We're actually doing 2 hikes today. Man, that truck traffic. We're doing 2 hikes today, so we're going to be starting off here, right where the railway grade crosses the highway. We're going to be doing the other section, which I've done before, but we're going to be redoing that section. So we're going to be working our way less than a mile to the north. Luna's all excited. And we're going to be working our way to where the railway grade crosses the Dog River, and we're going to be passing Dona Station along the way. It is a very, very cold day. I just checked my phone. It says it's -3 and it feels like -8. You can see that we had a dusting of snow last night because it was cold, and the precipitation turned to snow, so a little bit of a dusting. It is fairly early. It is the 20th of April today, so we are out fairly early. So this is Luna. This is what I was referring to when we were talking about sort of this. You could see we're kind of cut, so you can see there's a cut in the side of the ridge here, and there's a little bit of cutting work to this side. Again, I don't know if that was, well, let's go and look. I don't think that's the grade up here, simply because that curve would have been a little on the sharp side. There is a hump here that kind of looks like it could be the grade, but again, it seems really high compared to the other side. So I have been through this area before. I was here 5 years ago in the fall of 2019. So I am a little bit familiar. So here you can see this, the cutting still continues on this side, on our eastern side. You can see where there's a little bit of a all-terrain vehicle path, and this would make most sense to me because then it clicks into the road over here. You can see there's a big blob of dirt here that they've pushed up to sort of block access. weave our way through the trees here. Just got to be careful because we're hooking into some roads here. So this is known as Old Dawson Trail, and you can see that there's some homes and things like that in the area. So here we are definitely on the railway grade. Okay, so again, you can see the water in the ditches is frozen, and there's some little flakies that are coming down, and it's super windy. Luna's got her vest on today. I've got some reflective on me too, since we are going to be working along the road. Don't want to get run over. So here we're getting into some the first bit of rock work here, and this is going to kind of continue on for the next little bit. So you can see there's some rock work here. And then there's some rock work up ahead here. Like something's going on with my bike here. I'm slipping gears. Okay, and so here the rock work continues. So right up here we're going to intersect, and we're going to intersect up there Silver Falls Road. So you can see the rock work here gets much larger. I don't know, we've got to be close to 20 feet here. And so again, this is sort of very indicative of the geography of this area. And so here you can definitely see that we're on the railway grade. It hasn't been as disturbed as the previous portion will be, and then we're going to be hooking onto a paved road, which obviously is very, very much changed from what it was. So I think this used to be part of the roadway here. I don't think that road used to be there. So I think the original road used to come over here. Luna, come here. Luna, come here. Come here. We have to be careful here. I'm gonna have to hook her up, because there's the cars on the next piece of road here come by pretty quick. So here you can see how the modern road has been cut here, and how this, where the piece here where the grade used to be, how it sort of flows into the roadway, and the ditch has been cut. Okay, we're gonna hold up here for a second because we have to hook Luna up, and then be a little bit more careful as we move onto the road. All right, so we're going to resume here. I'm gonna walk this little piece here simply because it's a little bit busy here, and I'm worried about when the vehicles come, and then I've got to sort of keep Luna on a leash. So right here, pretty sure this is where the mileages work out. You can see the grade comes in from here and continues through this rock cut here. This is, I'm pretty sure now, there's some debate about it, this is where Dona Station was located. The siding probably would have started back there. It looked like things kind of widened out. And so when I check the mileages, when I measure things, everything comes to sort of this spot here. And if you go to my page on Dona, on my website, there's going to be a link in the description. You're going to see some pictures. Actually, it's quite amazing how many pictures we have of Dona. You know, considering this section of line was abandoned early on, you'll actually see the station nestled in beside a rock cut. And it's got to be this rock cut because there's a rock cut further ahead, right? But again, the mileages don't work. Everything kind of points to this particular area. So the station had to be literally right in there, right? So if we come down here and have a look, I kind of see like what looks like a little bit, again, I don't know for certain, it could just be the natural geography of the land. Looks like a little bit of a berm kind of here. You can see that there's a sort of a flattened out area in here. So the station would have been right in this spot here. Again, we have lots of photographs of the station. We know that it is a Grand Trunk Type E station. Again, there's lots of views of it. There's one showing that rock cut. There's one that's kind of looking sort of head on. So if we sort of wander through this area here, I can see over here that there's a whole, and again, I don't know if this is modern or, you know, when this dates from. I can see a whole pile of cans and bottles. Those look a little bit more modern, but very common thing to see, you know, sort of the old garbage or rubbish dumps. And again, you can see how much lower it is down here, but here it's, you know, much more flat. Just trying to look around and see if there's anything. You can see that, you know, we can kind of see it goes a little bit flatter into here. It's kind of swampy in here, but in this particular area, it looks pretty flat. So again, don't have a definitive answer, but in all likelihood, the station was right here in this particular spot, and it's unfortunate that the modern road has pretty much obliterated, you know, a lot of what would have been in this particular spot. All right, so let's continue on here. So while we have a second, we're going to do our usual history lesson as we pass through this rock cut. So this line was built by the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway between 1905 and 1908. It was going to be one of the final pieces. Sorry, it was going to be one of the pieces in Grand Trunk's desire to build a second transcontinental railway. Now, the Grand Trunk Company, which was one of the oldest railway companies in Canada, dated back to 1852, wasn't really keen on sort of building this whole sort of transcontinental line because they were worried about sort of the profitability of things. So what happened was after a lot of years of back and forth, the Grand Trunk Company formed a partnership with the Canadian government. So Grand Trunk would build the western portion of this transcontinental line, everything from Winnipeg to the west coast in Prince Rupert under the name Grand Trunk Pacific, and the Canadian government would build everything from Winnipeg to New Brunswick, so east, under the name National Transcontinental. Now this line, let's give you a little look here at this rock cut here. This line was a bit of an anomaly because it was a Grand Trunk Pacific line, but it actually connected to the NTR system at Superior Junction, and eventually a community would pop up around that area known as Sioux Lookout today. You feel that wind blowing, it's pretty cold. And so again, the line was constructed between 1905 and 1908. Actually, the Prime Minister at the time, so Wilfrid Laurier, came to the then city of Fort William, which is part of Thunder Bay, to do a sod turning ceremony, even though construction had already started in other areas like close to Winnipeg. And so again, the line was completed in 1908. Now, unfortunately, shortly thereafter, there arose an issue with Grand Trunk taking control and operating the eastern portion, the NTR. And so what ended up happening was the Canadian government had to take control of that line. And so what they did was they basically created a new entity and rolled it and some other railway lines into it. Again, looking back at this very large rock cut. So it became the Canadian Government Railways. Now, because this line connected, it was a Grand Trunk line, but because it connected to the NTR, the Canadian Government Railways leased this line from Grand Trunk Pacific. So it became part of the Canadian Government Railways network. And so at the time, the name of the line changed. So originally it had been the Lake Superior branch, or the Lake Superior division of the Grand Trunk Pacific. And so it became the Fort William branch of the Canadian government railways, I have to carry with me these nice little cards, so I can remember all the names. And so the line was divided up in two sections, so the Fort William and Wraith subdivisions. And then in 1919, the Canadian Government Railways was folded in with the Canadian Northern Railway to form Canadian National Railways. So the name of this line changed. It became the Fort William and Wraith subdivisions of Canadian National Railways. And then in the latter part of 1919, the name changed again to the Lake Superior subdivision of Canadian National Railways. And then in 1923, the name of the line changed. It became the Graham subdivision, which is what a lot of people are sort of familiar with. And then in 1924, the line was split into two. It became the Crest and the Graham subdivision. So this section became the Crest, part of the Crest subdivision, in preparation for its abandonment. And then in 1925, the line was split into three: the Crest, the Wraith, and the Corn subdivisions. And it was in the spring of 1925 that this section from just west of Fort William all the way up to what became Dog River Junction, which is just a little ways away from here, was abandoned. Essentially the line would follow the old Canadian Northern route, which was now the Canadian National Railways Kashabawi subdivision, split off at Conwy Junction and continue to the west. And so in 1926, there was only two subdivisions, the Wraith and the Corn. And then in 1931, everything became the Graham subdivision. And then the line continued to operate until 1994, when CN abandoned the entire line. Okay, so we're going to hold up here for a second, and then we're going to continue working our way to the north.